Previously on MetaZoo. A man from the shadows, injured cold, meets up with his old friend, the cryptid Mothman, and after 1,000 years, the veil is finally shattered. Catastrophe strikes when the shattering of the veil unleashes magic everywhere. And now, on MetaZoo, Cryptid Nation.
Don't look at it, Sam. Look only at me. Clever. They used contracts with spirits to change their energy signature, enough to slip past my barrier. The crafty devils even enveloped them in veils so I couldn't see how many of them had actually slipped in. Then they used the spirits and the radio tower to create a focal point that would allow them to punch through. What are you talking about, Em? Let's get out of here.
Sam was tired. Very tired. He just wanted to wake up from this nightmare.
Never mind all that, Sam. Just keep your eyes on me.
And just as Em said this, Sam felt something wet drip onto his face. It was Em's own blood, mixing with Sam's. Sam realized with horror that through their entire conversation, Em had not broken eye contact with Mothman, not for a single second.
Impossible,
Sam thought.
That thing looked at me once and I almost died.
Em, still maintaining eye contact, gently placed Sam on the ground as though he weighed nothing at all. Sam scrambled and moved through what felt like molasses behind Em's towering figure. Had he always been this tall? Em, in a voice that was starting to sound as weary as Sam's, but strong as ever, said,
"You poor creature. I know whose sigil that is."
Em moved his right hand out to his side, almost as though he were asking for change, and a blood-red spellbook appeared, pages fluttering. Sam had only ever seen it once before, when he observed from a crowd Em putting Point Pleasant's barrier in place. Most of the magic Em did on a daily basis, regardless of its complexity, didn't require his spellbook. It was thicker than any spellbook Sam had ever seen, and filled to the brim with all things arcane, magical, and powerful. Or so Sam thought. Mothman screamed, sounding tortured and anguished, both human and not, as Sam's own screams mixed in with it. Sam's blood became like ice, and he felt as though everything happy in his life had never before happened. Em's soft voice carried on the wind as well, and cut through the beastie's shriek.
"Sam,"
he said, tearing a page out of his spellbook.
"Sam, I'm going to open a door behind you, and I want you to take it."
And just as Em finished saying this, Sam heard what sounded like an old wooden door creak open behind him. But he was far too afraid and far too worried about Em to look. And then Em did something that Sam would never forget for the rest of his incredible life. Em broke eye contact with Mothman, who immediately leapt from his perch, almost as though it were Em that was keeping him there. And Em turned to face Sam with a smile.
"Sam, you have a good heart, and you're going to do amazing things. People in this world need you, so help them. Please, your journey will matter more than you know. And take this old book from me. I only need one last spell from it.
M said with a laugh, holding the page of the spellbook he had torn out moments before, waving it side to side. And then, almost playfully, M gave him a little push, and Sam was once again falling. Before the door closed and before the darkness that Sam was floating in completely enveloped him, Sam saw the last moments of M's life. He saw M turn, still smiling, to face Mothman, who was now only a few feet from colliding with the old man. He saw M lift his hand and the spellbook's torn page engulf itself in eldritch green fire. He heard M say, in a friendly but final tone,
I release you from your contract, old friend.
Sam's eyes widened with surprise, and then immediately shut in pain, as the light from an explosion that would go on to wipe Point Pleasant off the face of the earth for a second time poured through the door. And then the door closed. What just happened between M and Mothman? And will Sam ever see M again? Find out next time on MetaZoo, Cryptid Nation.